I had my first baby during COVID. I worked up until like I went into labor because like what else are you gonna do? And instead of like asking people, I'm literally in the hospital like a couple hours after giving birth, like, hey, by the way, I'm now gonna be out.
Welcome to Customer Unsuccess, the podcast where we cut out the noise and talk with real leaders about their hardest lessons in customer success and other go-to-market motions. I'm your host, Joe DeGrande, and in each episode, we're going to unpack real challenges from real leaders, failed tech implementations, a strategy that didn't yield results, or difficult customers. But more importantly, we're going to take those lessons learned and share them with you so that way you can avoid those same mistakes with your team. So if you're in customer success, sales, or other go-to-market motions, stick around to hear from the best. Now let's dig into it. On today's episode, I'm joined by Lindsey LeFaivre. She's the VP of Customer Success at AchieveIt, and we dig into the moments when saying yes actually hurts. Like the weekend she built out a 1,500 branching option workflow that the customer didn't even need. And she got her wake-up call when she informed her clients about her maternity leave in the delivery room. So Lindsey shares some real tactics for work-life balance and rituals that prevent burnout. I really enjoyed this conversation. I hope you do too. Now let's dive in. Cool. Well, good stuff. Should we kick this off officially?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Lindsey, for coming on the Customer Unsuccess podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me, Joe. I always love connecting with you. It feels like we're just like having a fun conversation. So I was excited to join.
And that's the goal of these. I always like having fun conversations. I always love to talk about like different stories and all that fun stuff and what's going on and in CS as a whole. But for those of you that are not familiar with Lindsey, we actually met at the Atlanta Customer Success conference, but it's also a community as well. So if you're not familiar with that, definitely check it out. We've had a couple of other members from the community on the show as well. Lindsey's also the Vice President of Customer Success at AchieveIt. And I said that right. And for quite some time, it's awesome. You definitely put your stakes in the ground there. So
I've been there just over 7 years, I guess, which is crazy. It's like a lifetime, but also like not that long ago, those
it goes quick. Yeah,
exactly.
Oh man. No, well, good stuff. Well, actually, I guess on that note, probably a good segue. We were just having conversations on also starting your career. I know you've had, I don't know, you're probably a little over a decade in terms of experience in customer success. Obviously, again, you've been at AchieveIt for quite some time. But when you're growing your career, there's obviously, again, hence the point of the show, unsuccessful stories, right? Or just growing pains, right? And I think a lot of our listeners could learn from that, or they get kind of psyched out or in their own world, and it's hard to take a step back. And we were talking about some crazy stories about tell me more about the story. I think it was some project deadlines to hit, or just aggressively hitting some goals early in your career. I'm excited to tap into that one. I'm sure we have a couple others.
We always have some imposter syndrome, and you're like, I've got to do it. I've got to say yes, because if I don't say yes, then it's a bad thing, right? And it's so funny. My background originally, I went to school for nutrition. I thought I wanted to do school lunch and change the world. And it was so hard when I graduated getting a job in nutrition. So I just kind of got a job doing whatever. And I had these friends that started their own company, and they said, you know what? I don't know if you've heard of customer success, but we think you'd be good at it. Come do it for our company. And I was like, all right, what do I have to lose?
Sure.
So I went to work for them, and we were just this small little startup. There was 6 of us. We're just grinding away, doing whatever we can, fully bootstrapped. So it's we're just doing anything and everything, not saying no to a customer. And we had this customer who was using this platform we had as a quiz building platform. And they wanted to have basically branching logic. If you select this, then give them this option. Well, if you think about branching logic, it can get really complex really quickly.
Oh, yeah.
And we were really young, and we're like, yeah, we can do that. No problem. And so they wanted this thing done. They had a deadline of Tuesday. And this was on a Friday morning when I was talking to them.
Okay.
So, yeah, I can do that. No problem. Well, I didn't realize that what they wanted was going to be 1,500 different options that you could have on this simple quiz that they were building out. And so I'd already said yes. And at this point, I literally spent, no joke, 24 hours building this out for the customer, because I didn't want to say have you thought this through? I don't know if this is going to work. I just wanted to say yes, because what are you going to do? Small bootstrap company, every customer counts. ended up being, you talk to them on Tuesday and it's like, oh, they don't really want that. It's not going to work out. It's like, wow. I just spent all this time doing it because I didn't want to say no. If I had just said no, it would have been better for me. It would have been better for the customer. They ended up churning anyways. Like, it wasn't a good use case, but it was just one of those situations where you're afraid to say no or even let me think about it. You just want to say yes right away. And I think so many people early on in their career just jump into yes, I'll do it. And I don't want to be seen as the person who's not going to do it or say no to a customer. So we just do it without even thinking it through.
So it's so interesting because this is applicable, I guess, also in a lot of different ways too, just even from project management, right? Doing projects, understanding, also just even, within selling too, right? Because like, it sounds like a lot of it was probably just not taking the time to kind of vet out, in this case, what the ask was. Would you agree?
I mean, honestly, it was like math in our heads, right? We're like, yeah, you only want this. It's easy. And we didn't realize like, oh, there's so many different options. Oh, okay. I didn't think through that. It seemed really easy in my head until I wrote it down. So it's like not project planning, right? It was just like, oh, you want 15 questions with, 5 different options for each one. Totally fine. But no, for each one, there's a different question that they are led to. There's a different answer they could get. And so it just got really complex without sitting down and actually thinking it through.
Sure.
And I think that happens a lot where we just don't think it through and we say yes. And then when we think it through, we realize this wasn't right. But at that point, I'm afraid to tell the customer. I already told them yes. Every customer counts. Like, we're so early on in our career. I had to do it and I did it. And I regret it to this day. I would have done something completely different. Like,
Well, no,
thank God I didn't have kids back then.
Well, 100%, right? Because like, again, now you're spending, because you said it came in Friday morning. So
yeah, Friday morning.
So from then until that Tuesday, you're essentially just grinding. Sounds like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No,
I mean, we had a lot of those like grinding instances in that like, early startup world. Actually, I think everybody who like worked in a startup in their early 20s did the same thing. It was just like what we did. But I think if we sat back and thought about it, we probably would have been a lot more successful and like put a lot less work on ourselves,
More efficiency. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. But we're just afraid to say no. It's like, I will do it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what my work-life balance is going to be. I'll work 12-hour days. And that's like what we did. In hindsight, it's always 2020, right? But like looking back at it now, it's like, what impact did that have? Like, was there really that big of a difference? Like, if I had told them it's going to take 2 weeks versus 2 days, would they have been upset?
Right.
Probably not.
No, it's true. I think it's a good call out, right? And it's just asking deeper questions, right? But I guess like, so it sounds like in your particular scenario, that was it just more so of the culture of the organization that is just instilled in everybody? Like, just the customer's always right, we have to yes the customer, or it was just more so like at an individual level, just based on your colleagues of what you were kind of both watching? Is a little
bit of both. I mean, it's like, I think like we all had like workaholic parents and we just felt like we had to get stuff done like all the time. And then it was like, I've got to prove that I can do this and I'm not going to say no. So I think it's a little bit of both, but probably mainly on me, where it's like, I was afraid to say no. It was my first time working in CS. I have imposter syndrome. I've never did this. Like, I went to school for nutrition. They just said that I would be good at it. So like, I'm going to do whatever it takes because I'm going to be successful.
No, it's interesting, right? Because I mean, it's definitely, you were kind of just, you're not thrown into it. Like you took the opportunity, and it was just more so, again, that imposter syndrome. You're like, all right, well, I'm just going to take, just hit the ground running, do whatever it takes in order to just make sure I don't hit a roadblock. There's no bumps in the road. But in reality, it's just you could almost essentially burn yourself out too if you continue that path. Yeah.
And so many people do. I think so many people, especially during, like COVID, got burnt out because they're doing the same thing. Like we were talking about this earlier. It was like, COVID, what else are you going to do? I guess I'll just work.
Yeah.
So we would just like get things done. And it's like, at the end of the day, people just got so burnt out from that.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think, COVID was actually a pretty big wake up call for a lot of folks. Because I remember a different organization I was working at, and the hours, like there was no like official hours, but it was just more like, hey, if you wanted to give guidance, it was like 8:30 to 6. And on Fridays, it was like a half day, like that you would take. And then, that way you just enjoy it.
So you had
right?
your work-life balance.
Yeah, work-life balance. But the problem is remembering that it's like, oh yeah, it's COVID. Like, there's not much I can do. / all right, like I'm already kind of, and also too in the beginning stages, like, oh, you really couldn't do anything, and then it was just almost rewired our brains. So yeah, definitely trying to break that habit it's been, I mean, it's crazy. It's been 5 years, and still I think a lot of people are trying to break it.
I know. I just feel like we're always plugged into, we were talking about this earlier with working remote, where it's like, we don't have that commute to decompress and to like,
yes,
you can't have your laptop up. And now it's like, oh, well, I'm just making dinner. I'll just have my laptop propped up. It's fine.
100%.
It's like, is it really that important? Like, no, you can unplug. Like, I switched away from an Apple Watch like a year ago, and I feel like my anxiety level just dropped because it's I still see it all the time on my phone, right? But I'm not like getting the phantom vibrates. I'm like, oh wait, okay, I just know the time. I don't know that I got an email or Slack message.
The phantom vibrates is a real thing. I still feel it in my pocket all the time. Like I had an Apple Watch. I just use it strictly like for fitness, but like then I revert it back to the phone. It's just like, oh no, that's just my phone, like just bouncing around my pocket, or maybe it just didn't do anything. And that's just psychologically, I think there's something going on. So
my husband did the same thing. The Apple Watch is just for working out, and then he switches to a regular watch during the day.
100%. Yeah. If I could make my philosophy is now, because I got it for health, I'm like, if I can make it through my workout, I think I can make it through the day. I think so. I should be good.
But I feel like it's those little like work-life balance things where it's like, make it where you don't feel as plugged in all the time. Yeah. And as a young professional, like new to a company, you are afraid to do that.
Yes.
Unless you have somebody that sets good examples, I feel like a lot of times it's like, oh, I can't let people know that I left my desk for 15 minutes to take the dog out because like, I can't do that. Like, that's not normal. And it's like, that's totally fine.
Totally normal. Yeah.
But people are afraid to do that. And like, and especially when you're young and you feel like you got to prove yourself. And that's the biggest thing that looking back on, I'm like, I wish I hadn't thought that way for so long.
For sure.
Like, my stress, my anxiety levels would be so much lower. I'd probably have so many like less gray hairs because I'm just like constantly plugged in.
Yeah.
And knowing that like, that's okay. And kind of have your non-negotiables. Like I have blocked on my calendar now. I'd never did this before. And I have it school pickup time. It's like,
yes,
that's the time that like, hey, I'm gone. You guys know I'm gone. If you want to pay me during that time, fine. But I'm not going to reply back to you because I'm in the car.
100%. Yeah. I think it's important to have those non-negotiables because it goes back to like burning out. You kind of need to reset the brain, right? Unplug and making sure that way you come back as your 100% self. But I mean, listen, it's tough, especially, if you are starting your career, right? You're going to have that natural inclination. I mean, not everybody, but a lot of folks, a good amount of folks, we're going to want to make sure that hey, I want to make sure I get this right to kind of prove themselves. But goes back to the keyword, the balance, Well,
I think a lot of it comes from your leaders setting that example.
Yes.
And so many people that I've worked with in the past are just like overachievers that are constantly on, that are first in, last out, type of people. And it's like, if that's what I'm looking up to and that's my example, then I'm going to follow that same pattern where you don't see the work-life balance necessarily. And so like you have to be cognizant about like, let me set a good work-life balance so that way other people know that is okay. So like, I don't have on my calendar that it's a private event. It is literally school pickup. So that way people know I'm being transparent. Like this is my balance that I have. Like I get on at 7:00 in the morning, but I'm not at my desk from 3:15 to 4 because I'm doing pickup. And like, that's just how it is. And like, that's my non-negotiable.
Yeah.
And so kind of having the give and the take, I think, and a lot of people don't see that because they don't get great examples of it.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think it's like that kind of an important takeaway. It's like, hey, life happens, right? Like we're still human and there's things that need to get done, like I actually kind of brings to the next point, right? I think, you have kids, you have school pickup, that's a balance. I know we were talking about a pretty crazy story, when you were.
I know when I tell this, my CEO is going to be like, God, why did you do that? Like, I did not tell you to do that.
Hey, listen, setting the record straight. This is probably not the best thing to be doing, I guess.
Yeah, this is an example of what not to do.
Yeah.
I was telling Joe that I had my daughter July 2020. So still like, peak COVID, we're wearing masks everywhere. You're not really leaving the house. So I worked right up until I delivered because what else are you going to do? It's COVID. All I could do is go for walks or work.
Sure.
So I was like, that's what I did. All the good Netflix shows I was done with, like, I couldn't just like leave early. And so I remember I was 5 days overdue with my daughter. She was born 6 days late. So I'm working past my due date. Any day could be when I'm gone.
Sure.
I had an out of office like ready to go, but I didn't tell anybody because they of course give access to my email when I'm gone. It's just like I don't have to log in and like put on my autoresponder. But what did I do within like a couple hours of having my daughter? I'm on my phone in the hospital, turning on my out of office, emailing my customers that I'm out. Here's the person to talk to. I'm like, it wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, what was the game? I mean, taking a step back.
I don't know. I saved somebody 10 minutes, like they could have done that push. It would have been fine.
Yeah.
My CEO would probably be like, why did you do that? And it's just like, I don't know. I just thought like, I'm going to do it so I don't ask anybody else to do it.
Sure.
Like, I'm not going to ask for help. Everything will be on me. And it's like, feel okay asking for help in those moments because it's not a big ask, especially like you're having a baby, you're in the hospital. Hey, can you send out my out of office? Like,
sure.
I was doing it myself.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even like I just like could have turned on the out of office. And if somebody emails me, it was like I was pressing send on these draft emails I had created to let each of my customers know I was going to be out. Completely unnecessary.
Come on. At that point, we gotta, I mean, now rethinking, it's like, hey, automation firing. Maybe that's a new automation play. This is my digital CS background coming to play. It's like,
it's definitely easier now. Like I already have tools in place, but I did not.
Sending a signal like, okay, baby here, now fire off. No, I'm kidding.
But like literally they have that now. Like you could just press one button and, yeah, I didn't have that in place back then.
No, totally. I mean, listen, I think it's definitely, but it goes back to, right, it goes to like old habits die hard, right? Not to bring up like such a cliche saying, but like it's hard to kind of break those habits. And it's why it's like, even going back to the original story, like going back in your career, if you could kind of set that precedent in your own mind, it'll be for your benefit in the future. And I mean, sure,
that's a terrible example for others, right? So it's like other people seeing that and they're like, oh, I guess that's what you have to do when you have a baby and you go out and leave. Like she was plugged in all the time. And it's like, I shouldn't set that example. If I'm plugged in, like fine, but like I shouldn't let everybody know that I'm plugged in because that's on me if I wouldn't be plugged in, but I don't want everyone thinking that's an expectation. And that's an easy way to set an expectation is, well, I did it, everybody else could. And that's not the right way to look at it, right?
100%. Yeah. And I think like, we were talking about like just generally like culture in general, like when we were talking before the actual podcast. And I think that's a lot of what new employees do too, right? Whether they're early in their career or, 10, 20 years into their career, right? There's going to be like the unwritten rules that you're just not going to want to, instinctively ask right away and not be as focused. You don't want to look like the person that doesn't want to work. You just want to kind of feel it out. And by kind of watching how other people react, you kind of have to, all right, like take some cues, right? Maybe some are wrong versus than others, but they could pick up bad habits. And it's something you have to watch out for. Yeah. I totally agree.
That's why I try and be transparent about what I'm doing. Like, hey guys, my daughter has ballet on this day, so you won't see me online at this time, FYI. So they know that it's okay. Because I hate when people still ping me and they're like, is it okay if I go vote for an hour? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, do you have the time on the calendar? Yeah, go do it. Like, get it taken care of. Like, your stuff's going to get done. I'm not concerned about it. And I think that's the other thing. People are afraid to say, hey, is it okay if I'm a human and I go do this for a little bit? And you got to make it okay for that to happen.
100%. Yeah. And I think it goes back to what you mentioned in the beginning, right? And like, I definitely like pride companies in pushing this ethos. It's just like, hey, we're all adults, right? Like we need to get stuff done. And it's like, you should be focusing on the results at the end of the day and what you deliver. If you're able to deliver that within the time that you're able to do it, great. Like if you need to get things done, great. Like, again, those outside of work, things are going to impact, mind, body, etc. And you're not going to be able to bring your full self to work anyway. So it's still going to be, a chain reaction or domino effect, as far as down the road.
And I feel like the biggest thing people need to do that I did not do in my career early enough, and I do this more so now, is say what resources you need and like, what are your non-negotiables? So like, hey, I need to go do this. Is that okay? If they say no, maybe that's not a great culture. Maybe that's not the company you want to be at. Like,
sure.
But if they understand you're a human and you have to go do pickup 4 days a week or whatever it is at 3:00 and they say no, then it's like, okay, well, maybe that's something that I need to think about if this is a place I want to be. Like, if you have the ability to do that, go and do that. Like, you should have a company that supports it and lets you have that work-life balance that you need.
100%. Yeah. And I think it's definitely having the right company be the right fit for whatever you're trying to accomplish, or that resourcing too, right? Like, I think you bring up a good point. Like, they might not say yes immediately. It's like, all right, but like, even if they're willing to provide something, right? Like, okay, maybe the organization, especially like if you're in office, right? Like, I know we're pretty much remote, but like, all right, we have aftercare, right? Like aftercare for kids and so on. I know that's been coming up quite a bit lately because I know childcare, that's a whole nother topic of conversation. I'm personally not even there yet, but I have many friends and family members. Oh yeah, it's brutal. I'm just like, oh man, is this what I gotta look forward to? I'm this is great.
Well, I think part of it is like going back to that big project where I spent all that time, I worked for a small org, but I didn't go to, my founders, my bosses to say like, hey guys, I need support. I need you to lean in and help. They would have 100% done it.
Yeah.
But I didn't do that. So it's like the same thing. You might have something that has to get done and we're like, yes, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take it on and I'm going to do all of it. But this might be a situation where you say, hey, I need some help and some resources to meet this deadline because I can't do it alone. And I think oftentimes we are afraid to say, I can't do this alone. I need help. Yeah. So one of the things that I have my team do every Monday in our stand-up is say, this is like a major project I'm working on and if I need support or not. Because they might say the same thing 2 weeks in a row. And I might say, hey, is that something that you need help on? Do we need to pull in some resources for you because you've brought it up a couple weeks in a row? Or kind of what's the timeline on that? I want them to feel good about saying, this is what I'm working on and this is where I need support versus just shouldering that all themselves.
Sure.
Because a lot of times these things, it's like, it's outside of a meeting with a customer. And so if you look at just calendars, it's like, oh, you got plenty of time. You could be doing something for a customer that's bigger than a bread box, if you will. And like, maybe you should pull in another resource, but you feel like I can't bring in another resource because so-and-so did the same thing before and they did it themselves. It's like, no, feel okay raising your hands. Yeah. You might need some support here.
100%. Yeah. I think that like either managing up or just like flagging it is so important. I think like, again, it goes back to I think it was another leader you were mentioning, or I think it was probably before the podcast, but like about like, hey, like at the end of the day, they're adults too. They need to know how to communicate, right? And you could essentially set the stage, but at the end of the day, if they don't speak up, there's only so much you can do, right? And I think, and that goes back burning out. That could be just resources for a particular project, removing those roadblocks if with different key stakeholders, et cetera. Those are all crucial, but if you're not aware of them, there's not much you can do.
Yeah, I can't support you if you don't tell me what you need support on, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. If you tell me everything's good, everything's fine, and then I find out that you're working 12-hour days over and over again, I'm be like, not everything's fine. Like, why didn't you tell me about that? We could have helped you. We could have given you resources. I had somebody one time that they didn't tell me they didn't have a second monitor. And I go, how have you been working? And they're like, well, I just thought I had to work off one screen. I said, no. That's like working with one hand. Let's get you a second monitor. We can annex that, or not. Yeah. We'll get it there in one day. Like, it's not a big deal. And it's just like, you have to tell me because I had no idea.
Yeah.
And how can I support you if you don't tell me?
100%. It's so crucial. Yeah. As far as like being able to speak up, and that also works like from peer to peer too, right? Like as far as like with different functions, like some people, I've seen this a lot happen too, where people are doing jobs of other teams where it's like they could actually support you, not even down the chain, just like cross-functionally, and that can happen as well, just not speaking up. So this is great. I mean, I guess like as far as like some key things to keep in mind, we've touched on a lot of different topics. I'm not wrapping up, but I'm just curious as far as like went a lot of different areas. And I'm trying to, so if we're looking at it's communication up, right? If we're trying to tell the audience like, hey, what are some key things to keep in mind? It's communication up, but like what else? Like what are some kind of high level like TLDR hate using that phrase, but like,
I feel like
it's been top of mind lately.
I know.
Bullet
Well, the
points.
things I think about is like work-life balance. And there's instances where it's not going to always be 50-50, and that's okay. But you have to know, like, at which point do you need to give more and do you need to give less? So there might be a point in your career where you're giving more to your job, but you shouldn't be doing that all the time. It should have like seasons, right? Like ebbs and flows, and kind of the same thing where there might be instances where it's like, hey, I've got to give more to my family and I'm not going to be on as much as I did. And kind of knowing like when you're at that point and you kind of need to make that change. And it's not always like giving 50-50 to each. It's giving your best in each one at the time that you need to give your best, right?
Love it.
So like I was talking to somebody and she was saying, it's not my responsibility to make sure that my team has a good work-life balance. It's my responsibility to support them in what they need to have that, but they're adults. They're responsible for it. I shouldn't have to say, use your PTO, go to your kids' fall festival. Like, you should be the one that says, hey, I'm going to my kids' fall festival. I need support here. And I should be able to give you the resource you need to make that happen, right? I should let you have that work-life balance. And so I think it's kind of having those non-negotiables and being able to be clear about it and knowing what it is. So she was telling me, I go to yoga at 4:30 on Wednesdays, and people know, don't bug me on those days because I'm at yoga at that time. Bug me afterwards if you want to.
For sure.
And then she has a young daughter as well. And she said, people know that I'm not going to be on from 5 to 7:30 because we're doing family time.
Right.
If it's something that's really important, send me a message. I'll see it after 7:30. But like, that's my non-negotiable time frame where like, I'm not going to be pulled into a fire drill because I have other things that's going on. And I feel like that's something you have to make sure that you're clear to your team that you have those set and you're not always on. So that way they feel good about having those set for themselves.
No, I absolutely love it. I think it's definitely some good takeaways, and I think like it's a good reminder, right? We don't talk, like, we've had a ton of episodes on this, but we don't talk about this enough, right? And I think everything's been a hustle, especially like the past 5 years. There's been a lot of change, especially there's a lot of pressure on CS as a whole, like, right? Like now there's always been like this weird debate, right? Of like, is it account management, customer success, like who's responsible for what? And now it's becoming increasingly more where CS is a revenue function and responsible for that revenue. So there is a lot of pressure, but it's still, essentially these ethos need to still be followed, right? Like you still need to look out for yourself as a person and making sure that, hey, you have a good like work-life balance. But also too, I think it's a good point that it's kind of like waves, right? I think like you said, like,
and it's
hey,
like always within reason, right? Like it can't be like, hey, by the way, I can't work every single day from 8 to noon. It's like, that's not going to work out. But if you're like, hey, I need to take an hour this time every day, but I'm starting early, is that okay?
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Make that happen, So it's like there's going to be instances where it's like, no, that's not work-life balance. You kind of have to give and take in different situations. It can't always be all the balance and all the work. It's going to ebb and flow.
100%. No, I love it. I think it's definitely, and also too, if we have a leader that's bought into that, cherish it, like I think it's there's a lot of obviously companies now that do it, and I think it's great, but it's not, the perfect world out there. But like, if you have that opportunity, be direct in what you need, those non-negotiables, and making sure that, it's a win-win for both. I think like selling that too. And that fact is important for, for people. But,
and I think if you're at a stage where you're like interviewing at a company and you're wondering, what is their culture like? Because a lot of times you don't know until you're in it, right?
It's true.
You can ask the question like, what's work-life balance like there? Like, how do you guys support it? And if they give you an answer that's like, oh, that's on you and that's it. Okay. Or if it's, what, I believe in, I need to give you the resources, but you need to make sure that you set a balance that's right for you. Okay. That might be a place that I want to work at. So you can kind of ask those questions or ask them like, what does work-life balance look like for you in your role? And let them talk about what they do. If it takes them a while to come back with an answer, then they're probably just grinding away at work all the time. But if they say an answer like, oh, it's actually really important for me to always pick up my daughter from school and to do bedtime, so I always make sure I have that set, then they have good work-life balance. That they care about their employees. They have a nice culture. So you can kind of ask those questions like, what does it look like for you at the org, to figure out what it's going to be culturally before you start there.
100%. Love that. Love that advice. And It's funny because your background, Lindsey, I didn't know that before, prior to this podcast, it wasn't nutrition. It's fascinating to me. But now, obviously been very successful in like customer success, being over 10 years in the game, I believe. But I guess like, where do you go for your learnings, right? It sounds obviously very much in the field, so to speak. I might be dating myself by using terminology, but the point is like,
but honestly though, I did love like the Atlanta community. The Atlanta customer success community is great. And one of the reasons why is people are actually there to like help you and not sell stuff. I remember you and I having a conversation and I was saying how we were going to be implementing the Zendesk AI chat. And you're like, hey, if you need any, if you have any questions on any sport, let me know. And a lot of times people do that. And then they're like, and here's my card for my consulting services. Yeah. And it was like, no, I actually like want to help you. Like, yeah, that's what I want to do. And I feel like that was one of like the great places you could go where you could make those true connections. And there were a few people I remember at like my first conference that were like that like I made actual connections with. And it wasn't just add me on LinkedIn and that's it. Like people actually want to help you. But one of my favorite resources that I actually have my team going through right now is this book. You've seen it like probably everywhere on LinkedIn, The Strategic Customer Success.
Yes.
And you might think like, I've been in CS a long time. I don't need to read that. I know everything. It's so good. And there's so many things where it's like, oh, good, I do that. Like, that means I'm doing okay. Because we have that imposter syndrome. It doesn't matter how long you've been in the game. Like, you still have that every once in a while. So you'll read it and you'll be like, yes, I do that. Or you'll get ideas like, oh, I didn't realize I should be asking those questions. Or this is great for my team to read. So I have my entire team reading it. And it's allowing them to just think more about the conversations they're having with their customers. And it's not always, are you using our tool? It's what are you doing with the information you get from our tool? Like, how is this helping your life and making it better? So they're having deeper, more strategic conversations that are really getting them to the point of, yes, they do see value in us and they are going to renew, which is great. So one that I highly recommend, we're doing it kind of like in chunks. They actually even have a book club on their like website that tells you like, here's questions you should follow, but it's a really good one. And actually Christy did the foreword on that. So she was on your podcast not too long ago. She wrote the foreword on it, which is really cool.
Awesome. No, 100%. I definitely got to check it out for sure, I think. And Christy was on the podcast for sure. And, she's great insight there. So I'll have to check it out, And
honestly, her LinkedIn's a good follow too. I mean, she puts a lot of nuggets on there.
Definitely, highly recommend. She's got great nuggets of information. And I think, it's really like a good takeaway from like these books and just like whether podcasts, whoever posts on LinkedIn, whether it's Christy and others, the validation piece, I think that's like a really core part. Like one, new ideas, sure. Like, hey, what's working, what's not, great. But also too, like the validation of like, hey, oh my gosh, this is great. This is what other people are doing. It's more reassuring of your like strategy. I mean, I think that's really important for, for members of the team, but that's awesome. I
think just CS in general, like the community of people in CS, they want to help each other. I feel like nobody wants to guard their secrets. Like in other industries, it's like, whoa, that's my secret. I can't tell you. And CS is very much like, oh, let me tell you what's working for me. Let me see if this helps you. And that's one of the things that I love about CS. And I think that's why like my friends back in the day who started this company looked at me and said, you'd be great at this. Because I had never heard of it. Like I was trying to do nutrition and then they're like, no, come do SaaS, come do CS. And it was probably like the best move that could have ever happened for me.
That's awesome. No, it's funny how things work and how they pan out. I mean, there's a number of people I've talked to, and they were just in completely different industries, unrelated, and they go down this path and it's great. It's a good path. It's fun. And and like you said, it's a great community to be around for sure. Yeah.
Well, it's not a situation like when I was younger, I always wanted to be a CS leader. It's like, I didn't even know what that was,
100%. It's early in my career, not, like something that just really struck me it was kind of in the similar situation. My career was first it was criminal justice, then it was law, then eventually I shifted to business. So I kind of had a close, relation to is marketing. And then it was like, all right, you're going to be an onboarding rep. I'm like, what's that? I'm like, okay, it pays. Sign me up. Let's do it. I'll apply. And that's all she wrote. Now here I am, 10 years later, CS, account management, the whole thing. So
I remember my college advisor told me in my first meeting with him that your degree doesn't matter unless you want to be a doctor or a lawyer. Yeah. It just shows you can do something for 4 years. And that has like stuck with me for so long as probably like the best advice I ever got, where it's like,
it's true.
When I didn't go into nutrition, it wasn't like the end of the world. It was just like, oh, well, my degree showed I could do something. Like, it was valuable for me at the time. Great. Like, have it up on my wall. Do I use it? No, but like I use aspects of it, right? Like,
yes. No, 100%. I think that's such a good way of putting it. It's just like, hey, you came to a place and you did stuff for 4 years and you walked away with the degree. So it's definitely good advice for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, good stuff. This has been great, Lindsey. I really appreciate the candor and the stories. This has been awesome. Great resources. We'll include those in the links to them in the description. But where can everybody find you if they want to connect?
Oh, I said LinkedIn is always a good place. I promise I will see any message and I will probably respond back to it unless you're really salesy, then I won't. I'm not as good as some people at posting stuff. That's a good place to find me.
Awesome.
LinkedIn. And then, old school, so Instagram.
And Instagram. All right, cool. We'll include the handle then in the description. And of course your LinkedIn. But no, this has been awesome, Lindsey. Thanks so much for coming on. Really enjoyed the conversation, and we'll hope to chat with you soon.
Yes. Thanks so much, Joe. It was great connecting, and I hope the weather stays nice for you up there in New Jersey.
I'm hoping.
Mild winter, right?
Yes, mild winter. That's a wrap for today's episode. Thanks so much for listening. If you got some value from this conversation, hit subscribe, leave a rating or review, and share it with someone who's also out there trying to build a better customer success or go-to-market strategy, even if it's messy along the way. And if you want more frameworks, tools, automated playbooks, check out jodastechtouch.com and subscribe to our newsletter. That link is in the description. Thanks so much for being here. Keep building, keep learning, and I'll catch you on the next one. Quick note before we wrap, this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. The ideas and opinions shared here are of my own or those of my guests, and don't reflect the views of any current or former employers, clients, or partners. We might reference tools, platforms, or companies, but nothing shared here should be taken as fact, endorsement, or criticism. Do your own research and always consult your team or legal counsel when making any business decisions. This content is not legal, financial, or business advice. It's just us sharing what's worked, what hasn't, and how we've learned from both. So thanks again for joining us. We'll see you next time.